Most people don't understand the kind of power it takes to live alone, especially as a woman. They whisper behind her back. They question her choices. They assume she's broken, lonely, or unlucky in love. But what if I told you she's the strongest person in the room? What if I told you her solitude is not weakness, it's wisdom? Stay until the end, because the last truth in this message will shift the way you see strength, self-worth, and relationships forever. Solitude is power. There's a big difference between being alone and being lonely, but the world keeps confusing the two. When a woman chooses to live without a boyfriend, without the noise, the drama, the chaos, people think something's wrong with her. But the truth is, that woman is finally right with herself. She has reached a point where her peace matters more than temporary company. She doesn't need someone next to her just to prove she's lovable. She already knows. And that knowing, that's the start of real power. When you stop chasing love for validation and start living from a place of wholeness, everything changes. You no longer need anyone to complete you because you've already completed yourself. She chooses herself first. A woman who lives alone isn't avoiding love. She's avoiding nonsense. She's not bitter, she's better. Better at recognizing her worth. Better at setting her boundaries. Better at choosing silence over chaos. This is a woman who has learned that the world will try to take pieces of her if she lets it, so she doesn't let it anymore. Instead, she wakes up in peace, makes her coffee in quiet, and smiles not because someone texted her "good morning," but because she's proud of who she is becoming. Her mornings are sacred rituals, sunlight streaming through the blinds, steam rising from her favorite mug, music playing softly, or perhaps just the sound of stillness filling the room. There's power in this solitude, a kind of magic born from knowing herself deeply enough to find joy in her own company. Every part of her life is intentional. Her time, her space, her energy. None of these things are up for grabs by anyone who asks. She knows exactly what they cost: the emotional labor, the mental exhaustion, the slow erosion of self that happens when you give too much to people who don't value you. And she refuses to pay that price again. It took years, maybe even decades, to arrive here, to this place where she understands that saying yes to herself often means saying no to others. But now that she's arrived, there's no turning back. Her home reflects this newfound clarity. The walls aren't cluttered with remnants of relationships past. Instead, they hold art she loves, photos that bring her joy, reminders of moments that truly mattered. Her bookshelf tells a story of growth, novels about women finding their way, memoirs about resilience, journals filled with her own messy handwriting as she worked through heartbreaks and healed old wounds. Even her wardrobe feels like an extension of her soul. Clothes that make her feel powerful, colors that reflect her mood, fabrics that remind her to breathe easy. Everything around her serves a purpose, whether it's functional or purely aesthetic. Nothing exists simply to fill empty spaces. And yet, despite all this intentionality, she's not cold. Far from it. People often mistake her independence for aloofness, but those who know her well understand the warmth beneath the surface. When she invites you into her world, it's genuine. Whether it's sharing laughter over dinner she cooked herself, recommending a podcast episode that changed her perspective, or sitting quietly beside you while you cry because sometimes silence speaks louder than words, it's real. She gives fully when she chooses to give, which makes every interaction meaningful. You'll never catch her pretending to care about something or someone out of obligation. If she's present, it's because she wants to be. This doesn't mean she's immune to loneliness. Of course not. Some nights, after the dishes are done and the apartment is dark, except for the glow of her laptop screen, she might scroll through social media and see couples laughing together or friends gathered around bonfires. For a moment, doubt creeps in. Am I missing something? Shouldn't I want more? But then she remembers, wanting more doesn't mean settling for less. Love isn't supposed to fit awkwardly into your life like shoes that pinch your toes. It should slide on effortlessly, comfortably, enriching everything without overshadowing it. Until she finds that, or until she decides she doesn't need it, she's content exactly where she is. Her confidence intimidates some people, especially men who expect her to play along with outdated scripts about how women should behave. They're used to chasing, fixing, rescuing, but she doesn't need saving. In fact, she's probably saved herself more times than anyone else ever could. So when they ask why she hasn't found the one yet, she shrugs and says, maybe I already have. Because the truth is, she has. She's chosen herself first. She's become her own knight in shining armor, her own safe harbor during storms. And once you've experienced that kind of unconditional self-love, it changes everything. Boundaries are non-negotiable for her now, not out of spite, but out of necessity. She's seen what happens when you let toxic patterns fester unchecked, how resentment builds, how trust crumbles, how both parties end up hurt beyond repair. So she sets limits early and enforces them firmly. No ghosting allowed, no games, no half-hearted promises disguised as effort. If you can't respect her rules, you won't last long in her orbit. But for those who do respect her and genuinely appreciate her strength, they discover something remarkable. She's loyal to the core. Once you earn her trust, she'll stand by you through thick and thin. Just don't expect her to compromise herself along the way. The journey to this point wasn't easy. There were days when she doubted herself, questioned whether being alone was really better than tolerating mediocrity. Breakups left her raw. Friendships tested her patience. Family members urged her to settle down before it was too late. Yet through it all, she kept coming back to one central truth. She deserves better. Not someday, not later, but right now. Today. Every single day. That realization became her guiding light, leading her toward choices that honored her spirit rather than diminished it. Now she moves through the world differently. She walks taller, speaks clearer, laughs louder. She takes risks, not reckless ones, but calculated leaps designed to push her closer to her dreams. Maybe it's starting a business, traveling solo to a country where she doesn't speak the language, or finally pursuing that hobby she always talked about but never made time for. Whatever it is, she approaches it with courage and curiosity. Failure isn't failure to her, it's feedback. Each misstep teaches her something new about herself, reinforcing her belief that growth comes from discomfort. People notice this about her. Strangers compliment her poise. Colleagues admire her work ethic. Friends envy her ability to stay grounded even when life gets chaotic. What they don't always see is the work behind the scenes, the late nights spent journaling, the therapy sessions that helped her unpack years of conditioning, the affirmations whispered to herself in the mirror on mornings when self-doubt threatened to creep in. Becoming the woman she is today required effort, vulnerability, and a willingness to confront hard truths. But she wouldn't trade it for anything. Because here's the thing, living alone doesn't mean existing in isolation. It means creating a life rich with meaning, surrounded by people and experiences that align with your highest self. It means understanding that love isn't diminished by independence. In fact, it's enhanced by it. A partner, if and when she chooses one, won't complete her. He'll complement her. He'll step into a world already thriving, a woman already whole. And that dynamic, built on mutual respect and admiration, is far more fulfilling than anything rooted in insecurity or dependency. So no, she's not waiting for love. She's building a foundation strong enough to support it when it arrives. Until then, she's perfectly happy dancing in her kitchen, reading under soft blankets, exploring new cities, cheering on her friends, and nurturing the relationship she values most, the one with herself. After all, a woman who chooses herself first isn't just surviving, she's thriving. And that's the greatest love story of all. She doesn't settle. Here's what people don't realize. That woman you see dining alone at the corner table, sipping her wine with a book in hand. She could have 10 men blowing up her phone right now. 10 texts waiting for replies, 10 voices vying for her attention, 10 different versions of, "Hey, are you busy?" But she isn't answering, not because she's playing games, but because none of them feel worth it yet. None of them align with who she is or where she's headed. She's not single because she can't get a man, she's single because she doesn't want the wrong one. Society might whisper that being alone means something is missing, but she knows better. Loneliness isn't a flaw, settling is, and she refuses to trade comfort for chaos, security for uncertainty, self-respect for scraps of affection. Love isn't supposed to leave you questioning your worth, it's supposed to affirm it. So until someone shows up ready to do just that, she'll stay exactly where she is, whole, independent, unapologetically herself. Love isn't foreign to her. She's felt its highs and endured its lows. She's been swept off her feet only to crash back down harder than before. She's given pieces of her heart away only to watch them mishandled, misunderstood, or outright discarded. Those experiences didn't break her, they built her. They taught her how fragile trust can be, how delicate boundaries are, and how rare true partnership really is. Now, when she thinks about love, she doesn't think about butterflies or grand gestures. She thinks about respect, about alignment, about two people choosing each other every day, even on days when the spark feels dimmer than usual. Anything less than that, not interested. She's not afraid of love. Fear has nothing to do with it. What she fears is repeating old patterns, losing herself in someone else's orbit, letting desperation override discernment. She's seen too many women abandon their dreams, silence their voices, shrink themselves to fit into relationships that never deserved them in the first place. That won't be her story. If anything, she's more courageous than most because she's willing to wait for the kind of connection that feels like home, not obligation. The kind that amplifies her light instead of dimming it. Courage, after all, isn't jumping into the deep end blindly. It's knowing your worth and demanding others see it too. Loneliness creeps in sometimes, sure. Late nights when the house feels too quiet, holidays when everyone else seems paired off, moments when she wonders if she's asking for too much. But then she remembers, wanting more doesn't mean accepting less. She deserves someone who matches her energy, who meets her halfway, who sees her ambition as an asset rather than a threat. Someone who celebrates her wins and comforts her losses without needing to control either. Until then, she'd rather sit with solitude than settle for dissatisfaction. This mindset baffles some people. Friends ask why she hasn't put herself out there more. Family members hint that maybe she's being too picky, too stubborn, too idealistic. Even well-meaning co-workers joke about her standards, as if expecting mutual respect and emotional maturity is somehow unreasonable. But she doesn't let their opinions shake her resolve. She knows what they don't, that love shouldn't require compromise in the areas that matter most. You shouldn't have to choose between passion and peace, between excitement and stability, between feeling desired and feeling valued. True love gives you both. Anything else is just noise. Her confidence intimidates some men, especially those accustomed to women chasing, pleading, bending over backward to keep them interested. These men expect her to play by the same rules, to text first, to make excuses for their behavior, to mold herself into whatever shape makes them comfortable. But she doesn't operate that way anymore. She attracts, not chases. Her presence alone draws people in the way she laughs freely, listens intently, speaks honestly. There's no pretense, no game playing, no hidden agenda, just authenticity. And while some men run from that level of transparency, the ones who stay, they're golden. Through the way she carries herself, she sends a message loud and clear. I'm enough. Enough without validation. Enough without explanation. Enough without apology. This energy radiates outward, creating a magnetic pull toward people who appreciate it. People who understand that loving her means respecting her autonomy, supporting her growth, and meeting her on equal footing. When someone finally steps into her world under these terms, it won't be because she needed saving, it will be because they both recognize the beauty of building something together. And when that person does come along, they won't complete her. Completion implies incompleteness, and she's already whole. No, this person will complement her. They'll bring qualities she admires, perspectives she values, strengths that balance her weaknesses. Together, they'll create something greater than the sum of its parts. But here's the thing, she's not holding her breath for this scenario. If it happens, wonderful. If it doesn't, equally wonderful. Because she's learned that fulfillment doesn't hinge on another person, it starts within. So she continues living her life fully, unattached to outcomes. She travels solo, explores hobbies, invests in friendships, builds her career, nurtures her spirit. Every experience adds layers to her character, making her even more magnetic to the right kind of partner. And if no partner ever arrives, that's fine too. She's already living the kind of life most people dream of, a life marked by purpose, passion, and profound self-love. After all, a woman who doesn't settle doesn't just attract better relationships, she becomes one. Peace is non-negotiable. She's learned something most people never do. Peace is priceless. Once you taste a quiet life, truly experience it, let it settle into your bones. You don't trade it for anything. Not for drama, not for ego, not even for fleeting moments of passion that leave you more exhausted than exhilarated. Peace isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of alignment, of knowing who you are and what you need to thrive. And once you've built a life rooted in self-respect, routine, and clarity, there's no turning back. For her, relationships aren't about filling voids or chasing thrills. They're about enhancing the foundation she's already created. Anything less feels like stepping backward, unraveling threads she worked so hard to weave together. Relationships that bring confusion, cut. No second guessing, no excuses, no, maybe he'll change. Situationships that drain energy, gone. She doesn't have time for half-hearted commitments or emotional roller coasters disguised as connection. A woman who lives alone has cultivated an unshakable reverence for her space, not just the physical walls around her, but the mental sanctuary within. Her home reflects this philosophy. It's clean, but not because she's obsessed with perfection. Every surface wiped down, every pillow fluffed, every corner dusted, it's all done with intention. Each chore becomes a ritual, a way of honoring herself and the environment she's built. She knows that clutter breeds chaos, both externally and internally. When her surroundings are orderly, her mind follows suit. There's power in walking into a room and feeling calm wash over you, knowing everything has its place, including you. Her space isn't sterile or impersonal. It's warm, inviting, alive with little touches that make it uniquely hers. Candles flicker on shelves, plants stretch towards sunlight, books line tables waiting to be revisited. This is her world, carefully curated and fiercely protected. Because here's the truth. Peace isn't just a mood, it's a life path. It's a decision made daily, sometimes hourly, to prioritize what nurtures your spirit over what depletes it. For her, this means setting boundaries without apology, saying no when something feels off, walking away from situationships that promise excitement but deliver exhaustion. Protecting her peace isn't selfish, it's survival. People often misunderstand this, calling her difficult or too serious, but she doesn't care. Difficult is trying to coexist with toxicity. Serious is refusing to compromise your well-being for someone else's comfort. She's neither of those things. She's deliberate, intentional, unapologetically herself. If someone wants to step into her world, they must understand the rules, or rather, the rhythm. They must come bearing respect, calm, and emotional maturity. Drama won't fly here. Passive aggression won't slide unnoticed. Half-truths and mixed signals will get shown the door faster than they arrived. This isn't negotiable. If you want access to her heart, you also inherit responsibility for safeguarding it. That's what love looks like to her. Two people committed to protecting each other's peace, not disrupting it. And yet, despite these firm boundaries, she's not closed off. Quite the opposite. Those lucky enough to earn their way into her inner circle find a depth of connection few ever experience. Conversations flow effortlessly because they're built on mutual understanding and trust. Laughter comes easily because there's no underlying tension or hidden agendas. Even silence feels rich, comfortable, companionable. In her presence, people instinctively lower their guards because they sense they're safe. Safe to be vulnerable, safe to speak honestly, safe to simply exist as they are. That's the gift of being with someone who prioritizes peace. It spills over into everyone around them. But she didn't arrive at this level of clarity overnight. It took years of trial and error, missteps and lessons, heartbreaks and breakthroughs. She's been in relationships where chaos reigned supreme, where communication broke down, where resentment festered, where love felt more like a battlefield than a refuge. Each experience taught her something new about herself, about what she would tolerate and what she wouldn't. Eventually, she realized that peace wasn't something she could outsource to another person. It had to start within her, radiating outward until it became the filter through which she viewed every interaction, every decision, every potential relationship. Now, she moves through the world differently. She carries herself with a quiet confidence that says, "I know my worth and I won't settle for anything less." Strangers might mistake this for aloofness, but those who take the time to truly know her see the softness beneath the strength. They see how deeply she values authenticity, how much she cherishes balance, how fiercely she protects the sanctuary she's built for herself and for anyone fortunate enough to share it. Some days, the outside world tries to creep in. Work stress, societal expectations, family dynamics, all of it threatens to disrupt her equilibrium. But she's learned tools to combat these intrusions. Meditation helps center her thoughts. Journaling allows her to process emotions before they spiral. Nature reminds her of the bigger picture, grounding her in gratitude. These practices aren't luxuries, they're necessities. They're part of the infrastructure that keeps her peace intact, even when life gets loud. When people ask her secret to living alone happily, she smiles and says, "It's simple, I choose peace every single day." What she doesn't say, but what they eventually realize, is that choosing peace isn't passive, it's active. It requires vigilance, discipline, and courage. It means saying goodbye to people and situations that threaten to disturb your harmony. It means standing firm in your convictions, even when others call you stubborn or unrealistic. It means trusting yourself enough to believe that you deserve nothing less than a life filled with serenity and joy. In the end, protecting your soul looks like this: creating a life so aligned with your values that anything incongruent feels jarring. Like this woman who wakes up each morning in a space she loves, surrounded by energy she's cultivated, moving through a world she navigates on her own terms. She's not waiting for permission to live fully. She's already doing it one peaceful moment at a time. She has standards, not walls. Some people look at a woman like her and assume she's guarded, that her standards are walls meant to keep others out. But they couldn't be more wrong. She isn't closed off, she's just careful, thoughtful, deliberate. Her heart isn't barricaded, it's protected, yes, but not imprisoned. There's a difference between building walls and setting boundaries, and she knows it well. Walls block everything, the good, the bad, the potential for connection. Boundaries, on the other hand, let in only what aligns with your truth. They create space for growth without inviting harm. And that's exactly what hers do. She's open but selective. Open to laughter, to vulnerability, to shared moments that deepen bonds. Selective about who gets to witness those parts of her. She doesn't give pieces of herself away indiscriminately anymore, because she understands how precious those pieces are. Every ounce of energy she invests in someone else is an investment in her own happiness, her own future. So why would she waste it on anything less than extraordinary? Why settle for surface-level connections when depth is possible? She doesn't believe in half measures or lukewarm efforts. If you're lucky enough to earn her trust, you'll see just how much she has to offer. But first, you have to prove you're worthy of receiving it. Love for her isn't blind, it's discerning. She loves deeply, fully, unreservedly, but always with clarity. She knows love isn't supposed to leave you questioning your worth or second-guessing your instincts. Real love amplifies who you are, it doesn't diminish you. That's why she approaches relationships with intention, choosing partners who match her level of commitment, who meet her halfway, who understand that effort goes both ways. Love isn't transactional to her, it's collaborative. It's two people bringing their best selves to the table, not one person giving endlessly while the other takes without thought. She gives, but not to everyone. Not out of selfishness, but out of self-preservation. She's learned the hard way that generosity can be exploited if given to the wrong person. She's poured herself into relationships where her loyalty was taken for granted, her effort dismissed as expected, her vision undermined by someone else's apathy. Those days are over now. Today, she reserves her gifts, her time, her care, her affection for those who truly appreciate them. For people who recognize the value of what she brings and reciprocate in kind. And oh, does she bring so much to the table. Loyalty that runs deeper than most people will ever experience. Effort that never wavers, no matter how challenging things get. A vision for life that inspires those around her to dream bigger, aim higher, live fuller. These aren't qualities she hides behind pretense or arrogance, they're simply facts. She knows what she offers, and she refuses to dim her light for anyone who can't handle its brilliance. She's done accepting the bare minimum from others because she refuses to give anything less than her maximum. Attention without intention feels hollow to her. Words without actions feel meaningless. Promises without follow-through, those aren't even worth discussing. This kind of woman doesn't need constant validation to feel alive. She doesn't crave noise or chaos to fill silences. Her life hums with richness because she built it that way with her own hands, her own choices, her own resilience. She finds joy in solitude, comfort in independence, fulfillment in pursuing passions that set her soul ablaze. Touch isn't currency to her. Desire isn't measured by physical proximity. She feels desired because she desires herself first. She feels loved because she loves herself fully. Anything external is just extra. Beautiful, yes, but not essential. If someone wants to step into her world, they must understand this. They won't complete her. They'll complement her. They'll add to the masterpiece she's already painting, not try to repaint it entirely. They'll bring peace instead of drama, purpose instead of distraction, protection instead of harm. She needs a partner who sees her strength and admires it, who respects her boundaries and honors them, who matches her ambition and fuels it. Someone who looks at her life, a life she's worked tirelessly to curate, and says, I want to protect this too. Anything else, she'll walk away without blinking. Because here's the thing, walking away isn't painful for her anymore. It used to be once upon a time, when she mistook obligation for love, when she stayed too long in spaces that drained her spirit, when she believed she needed someone else to validate her existence. Now though, leaving feels liberating. It's not about fear or avoidance, it's about freedom. Freedom to choose herself every single time. Freedom to prioritize her peace above all else. Freedom to say, you don't align with my values, and that's okay. I wish you well, but I won't sacrifice myself for you. People sometimes misinterpret her selectiveness as coldness or aloofness. They call her intimidating or unreachable, assuming she's too picky or too proud. But the ones who truly know her, the ones who've earned their place in her inner circle, understand that nothing could be further from the truth. She's warm, generous, loyal to a fault. What she is not is naive. She's seen enough of the world to know its complexities, to recognize red flags before they unfurl completely. She's been hurt enough to learn the importance of guarding her heart, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Her standards aren't there to push people away, they're there to filter who's worth her presence. Think of it like a sieve, only what's valuable remains. Only those who respect her boundaries, cherish her spirit, and elevate her life make it through. Everyone else, they slip through naturally, effortlessly, without resentment or regret. It's not personal, it's practical. It's survival. It's thriving. In the end, having standards isn't about exclusion, it's about inclusion. Inclusion of the right energy, the right intentions, the right people. It's about creating a life so aligned with your values that anything incongruent feels glaringly out of place. This woman doesn't build walls to shut people out, she sets standards to invite the right ones in. And once you're inside her world, you realize just how lucky you are to be there. Because being chosen by her, that's not just love, it's legacy. She knows her worth. You can't shame a woman who's proud of her solitude. You can't guilt her into settling when she knows her worth. There's a quiet power in the way she carries herself, an unshakable certainty that radiates from within. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. She's done the work to understand her value, and once she did, everything shifted. The world didn't change, she did. And suddenly, the rules of the game no longer applied to her. The moment she realized her value doesn't come from a relationship, the game changed. For so long, society whispered lies in her ear that her worth was tied to being chosen, that love was the ultimate measure of success, that happiness required partnership. But she stopped listening. She looked inward instead of outward, finding answers in the depths of her own soul rather than in the approval of others. What she discovered there was revolutionary. She is enough, just as she is. Not enough for now, not enough until something better comes along, simply enough. Period. This realization freed her. She doesn't need to post selfies with a man to feel loved. She doesn't need someone to check in on her every hour to feel wanted. Validation isn't external anymore, it's internal. It lives in the small, sacred moments where she shows up for herself. The early mornings spent journaling, the evenings curled up with a book, the weekends exploring new places alone. It thrives in the way she heals, not perfectly, but persistently. In the strength she builds when no one's watching, brick by brick, day by day. This kind of self-love isn't selfish, it's survival. It's thriving. It's choosing yourself over and over again, even when the world tries to convince you otherwise. This kind of woman doesn't cry over being single. She rejoices, because being alone has given her the clearest view of who she truly is. Solitude became her mirror, reflecting back truths she might never have seen amidst the noise of relationships or societal expectations. Alone, she learned what makes her laugh until her stomach hurts, what songs make her heart swell, what dreams keep her awake at night. She discovered the things that light her up and the boundaries that keep her grounded. Being single wasn't a sentence, it was a gift. A chance to become her own best friend, her own greatest advocate, her own safest space. And when you know who you are, something incredible happens. You stop entertaining what doesn't deserve you. You stop wasting time on people who treat your presence as optional, your feelings as secondary, your needs as negotiable. You start recognizing patterns before they take root: inconsistent texts, vague promises, lukewarm affection, and calling them out without hesitation. Or better yet, walking away entirely. Because why would you invest in anything less than extraordinary when you've already committed to giving yourself the extraordinary life you deserve? Knowing your worth changes the way you move through the world. It shifts your posture, your tone, your energy. People notice. Some are intimidated. They're used to women who bend, who compromise, who shrink themselves to fit into spaces designed by someone else. But she stands tall, unapologetically occupying her space. She speaks with conviction, listens with intention, loves with discernment. When she enters a room, heads turn not because she demands attention, but because she commands respect. Respect for her time, her boundaries, her spirit. Men sometimes misinterpret this confidence as disinterest, as if her self-assuredness means she doesn't need them. But needing and wanting are two different things. She doesn't need anyone to complete her, she's already whole. However, she does want companionship eventually, just not at any cost. If someone wants to share her life, they must first recognize her worth and reflect it back to her. They must see her brilliance and celebrate it, not dim it. They must understand that loving her means honoring her independence, supporting her growth, and meeting her halfway. Anything less, she'll pass, thank you very much. Her worth isn't up for debate. It's non-negotiable. People often try anyway: friends who suggest she's too picky, family members who hint that maybe she's aiming too high, acquaintances who joke about her standards. But their opinions don't shake her. Why would they? She's spent years dismantling the lies she once believed about herself, replacing them with truths she's proven over and over again. She's earned her confidence through hard-fought battles, late-night breakthroughs, and relentless self-discovery. No casual comment or sideways glance will ever undo that. Sometimes she thinks about all the versions of herself she's left behind: the girl who doubted her instincts, the young woman who stayed too long in toxic situations, the person who mistook obligation for love. She feels compassion for those past selves, knowing how far she's come, but she doesn't dwell on them. Instead, she channels that gratitude into action, continuing to grow, continuing to evolve. Every experience, good or bad, has shaped her into the woman she is today. Strong, resilient, unapologetic. In the end, knowing your worth isn't just about saying no to what doesn't align with your values. It's about saying yes to yourself, to your dreams, your passions, your peace. It's about building a life so rich and fulfilling that anything less feels glaringly out of place. This woman doesn't settle because she doesn't have to. She's created a world where she thrives, and if someone wants to join her there, they must bring their best self to the table. Until then, she's content exactly where she is, with herself, for herself, by herself. And honestly, that's more than enough. She's building, not waiting. She's not sitting around waiting to be chosen. She's too busy building. Her career is climbing promotion by promotion, project by project, skill by skill. Her body is a testament to discipline and care, sculpted not for anyone else's gaze, but for her own strength and vitality. Her mind, a fortress of knowledge, curiosity, and resilience, fortified by books, podcasts, conversations, and lessons learned the hard way. And her future, it's unfolding exactly as she envisioned. It would not because fate handed it to her, but because she rolled up her sleeves and started constructing it herself. Her love life isn't on pause, it's just not her only focus. Some people assume that because she's single, she must be longing for companionship, pining away in quiet desperation. But they couldn't be more wrong. She's not desperate to be saved. She already saved herself from toxic relationships, from societal expectations, from the belief that her worth hinges on someone else's validation. She doesn't need a knight in shining armor. She's become her own hero. The cape fits perfectly these days. The truth is, she does want love. Of course she does. Who doesn't? Love, when done right, is beautiful. It's connection, partnership, growth. But here's the thing, she won't settle for anything less than extraordinary. Not at the cost of her peace. Not at the price of her dignity. She understands what bad love can do. It can drain you, break you, leave scars that take years to heal. And she refuses to let anyone disrupt the foundation she's worked so hard to build. So she'll wait, as long as it takes, because she knows the wrong one will cost her years she can't get back. Years spent compromising, doubting, shrinking. No thank you. She's got better things to do. That's why she's patient. That's why she's grounded. That's why she's focused. Patience isn't passive for her, it's active. It's choosing every day to prioritize her dreams over distractions. Groundedness comes from knowing who she is and where she's headed. Focus means keeping her eyes on the prize, whether that's a professional milestone, a personal goal, or simply maintaining the sanctuary she's created for herself. She doesn't fear time. Time is her ally, not her enemy. What she fears is distraction, the kind that pulls her away from her purpose, her passions, her peace. She doesn't fear singleness either. Singleness is freedom, clarity, opportunity. What she fears is being with someone who holds her back instead of propelling her forward. That's the difference between her and so many others. When people ask if she ever worries about missing out, she laughs softly and shakes her head. Missing out on what? On settling? On wasting precious energy on someone who doesn't align with her vision for her life? No, thank you. Life is too short to give pieces of yourself to people who don't value them. Besides, she's too busy creating something remarkable to waste time chasing mediocrity. She wakes up each morning with intention, moves through her day with purpose, and goes to bed at night proud of how she's shaping her reality. There's no room for regret in a life lived this deliberately. And yet, despite her laser focus, she remains open to love. Truly open. Not in the way some people are desperate, clinging, hoping against hope, but in a way that feels expansive, generous, real. If the right person shows up, someone who matches her energy, respects her boundaries, shares her values, she'll welcome them with open arms. They won't complete her, she's already whole. But they'll complement her, adding richness to a life that's already thriving. Together, they'll build something greater than either could achieve alone. Until then, though, she's content to keep building on her own. Here's what sets her apart. She sees her singleness as an asset, not a deficit. It gives her space to grow without interference, to dream without compromise, to explore without obligation. She travels solo, discovering new cities and cultures at her own pace. She invests in friendships that fuel her spirit and challenge her mind. She pours herself into hobbies that ignite joy and creativity. Every experience adds layers to her character, making her even more magnetic to the right kind of partner. But again, if no partner ever arrives, she's okay with that too, because she's already living the kind of life most people dream of. Some men feel threatened by her independence, her ambition, her refusal to play games. They're used to women who chase, who bend, who mold themselves to fit neatly into predetermined roles. But she doesn't operate that way anymore. When she enters a relationship, it won't be out of neediness or insecurity. It will be because she genuinely wants to share her world with someone who enhances it, not diminishes it. These men might walk away, intimidated or unsure how to handle her confidence. Good riddance. She doesn't have time for anyone who can't rise to meet her level. Because here's the secret, she's not waiting for permission to live fully. She's already doing it one achievement, one adventure, one moment of self-love at a time. She's writing her story, chapter by chapter, with bold strokes and unwavering determination. And if someone wants to join her in this journey, they'll have to earn their place in it. They'll have to bring their best self to match hers. Anything less, she'll smile politely, wish them well, and continue building the empire she started long before they came along. In the end, she's not afraid of time passing her by. She's afraid of losing sight of her goals, her values, her soul. She's not afraid of being single. She's afraid of being with someone who dulls her light instead of amplifying it. And that distinction makes all the difference. Because while other people may spend their lives looking for love, she's busy becoming the kind of woman worthy of it. And trust me, when the right person finally arrives, they'll understand just how lucky they are to stand beside her. She's not alone, she's aligned. Being alone doesn't mean she's disconnected. It means she's in alignment with herself, with her values, with her vision. Society often equates solitude with loneliness, but she knows better. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness, of longing for something outside yourself to fill a void. Alignment, on the other hand, feels like fullness, like wholeness. It's the steady hum of knowing exactly who you are and what you stand for, even when no one else is watching. For her, being alone isn't about isolation, it's about integration. Bringing all the pieces of herself together into one cohesive, powerful whole. She's not lonely. She's selective. Selective about who gets access to her time, her energy, her heart. People sometimes mistake this discernment for aloofness or detachment, but they're wrong. She's simply learned that connection isn't about quantity, it's about quality. A handful of meaningful relationships mean more to her than a sea of superficial ones. She cherishes deep conversations over small talk, shared silences over constant chatter, mutual respect over fleeting admiration. When she lets someone into her world, it's because they've earned it, not because she needed to fill a space. She's not cold, she's wise. Wisdom comes from experience, and she's had plenty of that. Heartbreaks taught her resilience. Mistakes taught her patience. Failures taught her courage. Each lesson added layers to her understanding of love, life, and herself. Now she moves through the world with an inner warmth that radiates outward, even if it's tempered by caution. She doesn't wear her heart on her sleeve anymore, it's tucked safely inside her chest, protected yet open to those who prove themselves worthy. This wisdom doesn't make her distant, it makes her deliberate. Every word she speaks, every action she takes, every decision she makes is rooted in intention. She's not anti-love, she's pro-peace. Love for her isn't a battlefield, it's a sanctuary. If anything disrupts her peace, it's not love. It's noise, drama disguised as passion, chaos masquerading as connection. She refuses to confuse the two. Peace is her priority, her foundation, her guiding star. Without it, nothing else matters, not romance, not success, not validation. With it, everything falls into place naturally, effortlessly. Love will come, but only if it aligns with her peace. Only if it enhances it, never diminishes it. That's non-negotiable. This woman walks through life with grace, not because it's easy, grace rarely is, but because she's learned how to carry herself in silence, how to sit comfortably in stillness without needing external distractions to soothe her mind. Silence isn't scary to her, it's sacred. It's where she hears her own voice most clearly, untainted by the noise of others' opinions or expectations. In that quiet, she finds clarity, strength, and truth. She learns to trust herself, to rely on her instincts, to honor her decisions. The world may try to pull her in 1,000 different directions, but she stays anchored in her center, unwavering in her resolve. She doesn't run from the quiet, she runs toward it, because that's where truth lives. And in that truth, she finds her deepest power. Power isn't loud or flashy for her. It's quiet, steady, unshakable. It's knowing that she doesn't need anyone else to validate her existence, yet remaining open to partnership that elevates rather than diminishes her. It's choosing solitude not out of fear, but out of self-awareness. It's recognizing that the right kind of love won't ask her to abandon herself. It will invite her to become even more fully who she is. And here's the beautiful irony: the one who truly loves her won't disturb her silence. He'll respect it, he'll match it, and he'll add to it. He won't see her independence as a threat or her introspection as indifference. Instead, he'll admire her ability to find peace within herself, knowing that this same peace will create a strong foundation for their relationship. Together, they'll build something extraordinary, not out of desperation or obligation, but out of mutual admiration and shared purpose. Until then, though, she's content in her alignment, trusting that the universe has a way of bringing the right people into your life at the right time. Because ultimately, being aligned with yourself is the greatest gift you can give, not just to yourself, but to anyone lucky enough to share your world. When you know who you are, what you want, and why you matter, you stop seeking approval from others. You stop chasing shadows and start attracting light. This woman isn't waiting for love to save her or complete her. She's already saved herself, already whole. And when the right person finally arrives, they won't change her, they'll celebrate her. They'll join her in her alignment, creating harmony instead of discord, unity instead of division. In the meantime, she continues walking her path with grace, wisdom, and unwavering faith. Faith in herself, faith in her journey, faith in the timing of it all. Being alone isn't the absence of love, it's the presence of alignment. And in that alignment, she's found everything she needs to thrive. Let me leave you with this, because it's the part no one says out loud. The woman who lives alone, she's not behind, she's ahead. Ahead of the pain that comes from ignoring red flags, ahead of the heartbreak that stems from forcing love where there is none, and ahead of the chaos that distracts so many others from their purpose. This isn't just some poetic sentiment, it's a truth that deserves to be shouted from rooftops, but often gets whispered in quiet corners instead. She didn't choose loneliness, she chose clarity. And let's unpack what that really means, because clarity is not something society teaches us to value when we're bombarded daily with images of perfect relationships, fairy tale endings, and timelines dictating when life milestones should happen. Clarity is choosing yourself over settling. It's deciding that your peace matters more than fitting into someone else's idea of companionship. It's understanding that waiting for the right thing doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're brave enough to know your worth. And bravery? That's a decision very few have the courage to make. Think about it. How many people do you know who stay in situations they've outgrown because leaving feels too hard? How many settle for scraps of affection rather than demanding a feast of respect? Too many, right? But here's the kicker: the woman walking alone isn't afraid of being without. She knows her own company is golden, and she refuses to dilute it with anything less than extraordinary. So if you're a woman walking alone right now, keep walking, keep building, keep protecting your peace like it's the most valuable currency you own, because it is. You're creating something beautiful even if it doesn't look like everyone else's version of success. Maybe you're learning new skills, nurturing friendships that fuel your soul, or diving deep into passions that set your spirit on fire. Whatever it is, don't stop. Every step forward is proof that you are exactly where you need to be, regardless of what anyone else might say. Now, here's the part people skip over when they talk about love. The love you're waiting for. It's not just about romance, it's about respect. Respect for your boundaries, your dreams, your flaws, and your victories. Real love shows up as an equal partner, not a savior or a project. It honors everything you already are, amplifying your light instead of dimming it. When it finally arrives, and trust me, it won't feel like a desperate rescue mission. Instead, it will feel like home. Not because you need saving, but because it recognizes and cherishes the masterpiece you've become. Think about it. Wouldn't you rather wait for someone who sees your strength and chooses to stand beside it instead of trying to fix what was never broken? Wouldn't you prefer a love that celebrates your independence instead of feeling threatened by it? Of course you would. Because at the end of the day, true connection isn't about finding someone to complete you. It's about finding someone who reminds you how whole you already are. Here's another layer to consider. Living alone doesn't mean existing in isolation. Some of the strongest women I know have built entire communities around themselves, support systems filled with friends, mentors, colleagues, and family members who uplift them. They've learned that thriving doesn't require a romantic partner. It requires meaningful connections, wherever they may come from. So while the world obsesses over coupledom, these women are busy cultivating lives rich with purpose, joy, and fulfillment. And guess what? Their happiness becomes magnetic. People gravitate toward those who radiate authenticity, including potential partners who match their energy. But let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, there will be moments when doubt creeps in. Nights when you wonder if maybe you're asking for too much. Days when societal pressure tries to convince you that good enough is all you deserve. In those moments, remind yourself of this. You are planting seeds every single day. Seeds of self-respect, resilience, and unwavering faith in your journey. Those seeds will grow into something breathtakingly beautiful, even if you can't see it yet. Trust the process. Trust yourself. Because here's the secret nobody tells you. The best things in life rarely come quickly or easily. They show up after years of saying no to mediocrity, after countless moments of standing firm in your convictions, and after embracing solitude as a sacred space to grow. Love, real, transformative, soul-stirring love, is no exception. It waits for those who refuse to settle. And when it finds you, it will feel like coming home to the person you were always meant to be. So, to the woman reading this right now, to the woman navigating life on her terms, you are not behind. You are not lost. You are not incomplete. You are ahead of the curve, carving out a path that prioritizes authenticity over approval, substance over superficiality, and growth over stagnation. Keep going. Your future self will thank you for every boundary you set, every compromise you refused, and every dream you dared to chase. And when love finally arrives, oh, it will arrive. It will knock on your door softly, carrying flowers and humility, ready to meet you on equal ground. It will honor your journey, celebrate your individuality, and add to your story without overshadowing it. And when that moment comes, you realize something profound. You weren't waiting for someone to save you. You were preparing to welcome someone worthy of sharing your brilliance. That's the kind of love worth waiting for.